you. I am going live now. I honestly didn't know that I was just getting all my stuff set up here. I honestly didn't know that you guys were notified. So very good for next time. I'm just saying hello if you don't know who I am. I'm Tammy Kay, and we're gonna start painting something. I'm gonna switch my camera around real soon here. We're gonna be doing this today, so I'm really excited. I was supposed to do it last week, and then there was sickness in my house. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what to do. So we're gonna go over to my desk here. Hi guys, welcome, welcome, and get everything set up. So I have all of my supplies here. Basically, this is the rough idea of what we're doing today. Sometimes I like to do things a little bit differently, just depending on how I feel in the moment. But this is a very cheap piece of paper, the B Company paper, and we're gonna use my Saunders Waterford paper today. I've got my Winsor Newton paints. I'm gonna spray them down. And I've got my water, my paper towel, and of course I've got my Princeton Heritage brushes. So we've got those to use. This is number 2, number 8, but I think I'm probably gonna start with my number 6. This is my travel brush. Christy Rice has this brush for sale, and it's lovely because you can take it wherever you want. That's pretty great. So for those of you just joining us, this is what we're doing today. Kind of give this little fun. It's a little bit colder, at least for me here. Everybody is kind of getting a little chilly, I think, these days, and depending on where you're at, of course. And so it's nice to have some bright color and just start off that way. So basically you can see all of my colors here in my palette. I'm gonna go ahead and start mixing up some of my color here. So I really just wanting like a pinky, peachy kind of color. So I've got pink, I've got some orange. I'm just gonna mix that together. And we're gonna start with a little bit of a brighter color, and then we can start adding water and make it less bright, of course. So I'm gonna start up here at the top, and we're just going to start adding in some loose petals. So just this little C-curve shape here, and then fill it in the middle. And I can go ahead and grab some saturated, concentrated paint and just start tapping that in as well. And that's gonna create some really nice bleeds and some spreads. Let's go ahead and give myself a little more space. And let's do a second petal right here. And so I'm just gonna arc it around, maybe dip in the water, take off some of that paint, and we're gonna do another petal here. And so you can see, sometimes I like to leave a little white space. You can see that this one's a bit darker, more saturated. Now I'm gonna take off some more of that water. We're gonna do a third petal here. So this one is really light. I'm wanting to work with the values so that we can make sure that we've got some interest, we've got some variation, not everything is looking the same. And I'm going to grab a little bit more of that paint and do one more little petal right here. So we're just curving around and we're following the contour of the shape of the petals we've already put down. Make this a little bit wider. So a nice loose watercolor floral here, pretty easy peasy, not too complicated. So we're going to do some green. We'll add some green there later. I'm just going to grab some concentrated paint, and while this is still wet, just pop in a little bit of color, just allow that to spread and, just see what that does. So once I do that, I'm gonna clean my brush, dab it, and start to spread it out myself a little bit, just to create some more blending. You're just forcing the color to move, all that good stuff. So I'm gonna curve this a little bit more here. And then we'll add in our greenery, a little bit of a stem, whatever we have room for. So we've got an orange flower here. Let's add in a pink one. So I'm grabbing pink from my palette and just mixing it in. It's really bright, really pretty. Hi everybody, anyone who is new, welcome, welcome. And so I've got that mixed up. Before I do that, I'm gonna start with my center. So I've got my number 2 round brush. I'm gonna dip that in, and I'm gonna grab my Payne's Gray. Now my Payne's Gray is lovely. I like to call it more of a navy color. What I love about it is that it's that really nice dark, but it's got that blue tone to it. So it's just different than using a black, for example, or a brown. I find it to be more interesting, and I seem to like that better. So I'm just trying to shift it over a little bit. We're gonna do our center. And so our center is going to be a series of these little stamen So I've got that first one at the top, and then I'm going to start curving around like this, okay? And then I'm going to start curving around like this, just like so. And that will be our center point. And now because it's right there and wet, we want to be careful how we're drawing in or painting in our flowers, our petals. So, you don't want all that bleeding. I personally don't want that. So I'm just going to be a little bit cautious in how I put those in. So I'm just going to create a first petal here at the top. If you want this to be a larger flower, you can make your petals longer. Dip in, take off some of that paint, and then we're going to do a second one here. It's a little bit lighter. I'm going to dip into my paint and go a bit darker now. So and I'm curving around that same thing that we've got the first petal, then we're starting to kind of curve around and add those in. Let's do another darker one on this side. And when you work slowly, you can start to think about, a little bit more about what you want to add in. Now I did say, I'm going to take off some of the paint. Today I said we were going to talk a bit about being present and what that means. I'm going to take, put a few more little C-curve shapes here. And then we're going to add a really little squatty one here. And that means that our flower is it's tilted. It's not straightforward where every single petal is the same length. And this is just the perspective of the flower that you're getting. So I'm going to grab some concentrated pink and just start to pop some of that color in there. If it's not spreading, it just means it's dried a bit, and that's okay. You can kind of force that to spread by cleaning your brush, dabbing it, and then moving that paint around. So being present is this idea that, and you've heard of probably mindfulness or just kind of being aware of your five senses. We've talked about grounding. I can even take some paint off here. Just grab a nice cleanish brush and then swipe off some of that paint, adding in paint in other places, just kind of have fun and play around with it. So when we are being present, we're going to do another center over here and then a few more flowers. When we're being present, we're plugged in to what's happening around us. We're not thinking about our to-do list. We're not stressing and worrying about the cares of the world or our life, but we are just focused on what's around us. A way to do that well is to think about the things you can see, smell, taste, touch, and hear. And if you can tune in to those senses and what's going on around you, it's going to make you, give you an experience to practice, to try to practice that. Being present, because if you are having a conversation with someone, and we're going to grab some of this lovely kind of mauve color, really concentrated. If you're having a conversation with someone and your mind isn't there, this is a granulating color. You're going to see little bits of the pieces, just the pigment doesn't go on smooth. And so you can see little fragments in it when it dries, especially. It's kind of interesting. Some people like that, some people don't. But I've noticed that about this one. So if you are listening to someone, but you're not really there, you're missing out on the pleasure of speaking with this person. If it's your child and you're really busy with work and other things, they're not getting the attention from you that they need. And so practicing just instead of thinking about our worries or thinking about our fears, we're going to focus on what's around us, what we're doing in this moment. So it's a good practice. I encourage you to try it. Painting can be a great way to practice that as well. All right, I hope everyone's having fun painting our lovely little florals here. I'm trying not to touch the center, so we're staying away a little bit. You can go closer if you want with yours, but it's really just up to how you want to paint things. So we've got orange, we've got this pinky color, this mauve color. I'm gonna choose a really bright orange that I have on my palette. I'm gonna use that one. So this one is ready to paint. This is kind of a rainbow floral situation happening, like I promised, so I've got to go bold. All right, we're gonna do another one here. So we're gonna do our center. So just the stamen kind of curving around. So you can be mindful and present when you're painting too. It's a great practice. So just think about, the brush strokes that you're creating, just kind of hone in to the colors that you're using and enjoying and appreciating. And, how does it feel to hold the brush in your hand? What's that experience like? Are you holding it really tight because you're worried and nervous? Are you holding it loosely? Are you about to accidentally drop it? Sometimes I hold it so loosely that it just like spins out of my hand, and then it's just like, you're like, oh no, I've made a mistake. Now I have this blob on my paper that I wasn't expecting, and you just have to kind of go around and kind of paint around it and fix it in a way, and just say, okay, how can I turn this into, a happy accident, right? That Bob Ross always talked about. So just creating these little petals. This is an experience for you to be able to just practice some self-care, taking care of yourself, enjoying putting the paintbrush down and getting all those colors out there. I just love picking the colors. I kind of do it in the moment. I'm gonna grab some of these purples here. I want to go with a blue purple. I like to do this in the moment. You know what? I'm gonna go aqua. Am I gonna go aqua? I'm gonna do aqua. Because we did talk about rainbows, so we're gonna just go crazy. It's not going crazy. But this is such a gorgeous color. So I am getting this ready. This one is going to be a side facing like that one, but I'm going to flip my paper, guys. It's okay, you can flip your paper. I know some people say, don't flip your paper. You can do it, it's gonna be fine, nothing bad's gonna happen. All right, so I actually paint these side-facing florals a lot better if I do them upside down. So I'm gonna do my C-curve shape right here. This is a very opaque color. It's not as transparent as some I'm noticing. I do love that. Of course, you put a lot of water in it, it's gonna be transparent, like anything. But this is one of my favorites. I definitely, when I was choosing this palette, I wanted to have an aqua. I was like, I need it for my ocean scenes when I'm painting in the ocean or a bright sky. We've got to have a variation. And then I have a turquoise, which is absolutely gorgeous too. All the supplies are linked in the description of this video. They will be. If they're not yet, I believe they are after the live is over. But yeah, I did do that last night. I'm gonna do some little really light marks just for some fluffiness of this floral. So you can leave a lot of white space. It's actually encouraged. I'm dipping into my flower here, but that's okay. It happens, and we can cover that up once we get all the greenery in and all that stuff. So there you go. There's the 5 florals that I have so far. And we're gonna start adding in different pieces to make this more of that complete composition. So if you guys have any questions, you can let me know. I will try to see comments if they come in. I don't have them turned off, so just checking right here. We should be good. All right. So when you're looking at your composition, this is my original here. I've got a flower way up here and a flower way down here. And over here, they're smaller. And so I can either be more heavy on the foliage down here, or I can, just add a few more blooms. And I'm just gonna keep the blooms with what I have for now. So I'm gonna grab some of my sap green, and we're just gonna make a little anchor point here. The stem will be right there. And we're just gonna do a little bit of these flick marks to start connecting the stem with our flower, with our bloom. There you go. And then we'll do that with the other one once it's dry. We want to take a break, just let things kind of hang out, and we'll come back to it when it makes sense, when things are dried. All right, so now what I want to start to do is add in some of those smaller floral accents. So I've got a lovely cobalt blue here. And what I'm going to do first, and what I'm thinking of doing is adding some blue here, adding just right up here, and then right over here, just to start to zigzag through my composition so that the eye can kind of move from place to place. So I'm going to do these little marks, and we're just going to do little bloops, little blobs. But I'm using the belly of the brush to create these shapes for me. And I am moving the brush in the direction that I want it to go. So I am very aware that if I use the brush at this angle, the bottom of this little mark is going to have a point and the top is going to be more rounded. So I'm just moving things along right here instead of just like going and then going this way, which would be easier on my hand, but I know that the shape is going to be different. And so, you know, you can do this however you like, whatever makes sense to you. That's just how I prefer to do it for this. So we've got those there. I'm going to clean my brush, a little bit clean, so a little bit messy. And then we're just going to start doing some little blobs with the water on the brush. And it's going to spread out some of these little florals, and that's okay, or these little petals. And now and leaving white space, but now we've got a cute little accent floral happening here with some spreading, with some bleeding, nice and light, and we have difference in values. We've got some darker and some lighter. Lightness and darkness of a color would be the value that we're talking about. So we're gonna do this one, we're gonna do another one here and then another one here. So let's try that again. So a little, now that we know what we're doing, right, we can go a little bit faster if that works for you. But I don't want you to rush. You know, I want you guys to take your time and, you know, have so much fun with it. There we go. Just like that. And just a few there. I'm leaving a lot of space in between, and then we can spread things out. So we'll do that same thing. My brush still has, you know, some of that paint on it. I, you know, sort of cleaned my brush, but I did it quickly, and so that blue is just spreading. I don't want everything to spread together. So if you feel like you have too much water on your brush, just dab it on your paper towel, and that's gonna fix that situation for you quite nicely. All right, let's do a third one over here. So boom, boom, boom. The eye's gonna go zigzag around to the blue spots in this composition. So I'll get this going, and got some big airplanes coming by right now. They love to come in and be part of the video. There we go. So what's the great thing about using the belly of the brush? Using the shape of the brush is gonna be just such an effortless way to add your marks on your paper. And as you can see, you know, I've done this a few times, so my hand just kind of knows to not zigzag, but just move different spaces, and it feels comfortable to me. If it's not comfortable to you, just keep practicing. It's a little bit too much water, and you'll get it. It's all about that muscle memory, okay? So I hope this is interesting to you. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, guys, and you can check out the link in the description for all the good stuff. I just started a website, so it's got information about me and kind of my practice, and I am a therapist as well as an artist. I don't do therapy on here, of course, but what I like to do is offer self-care tips and kind of talk about, you know, mental health in general, because I want you guys to feel like you can do self-care and you can find improvement in that. So when we talk about those hard issues, hopefully we are able to be aware of what we can do about them. You know, I know not everyone can go to therapy, and of course I'm an advocate for therapy, but everyone can take care of themselves. Everyone can do things, little things that help, you know, boost their mood and improve their happiness, and that's what I encourage you guys to do. And for many of you, painting is that. That's what you do for self-care, and I love that. Painting or any other type of artistic activity. All right, guys, we're gonna do some yellow now, just like we had on this composition here. So for that one, I'm gonna add some yellow over this part, and then we're gonna skip over to here and over here. And you can see that there's just this natural progression of where we're placing things. So I am going to do like, kind of like little star-shaped flowers, I think. Yeah, star-shaped flowers. And then sometimes it'll just be 2 petals or 3 petals, you know. And then what we can do is start adding, well, later when it's dry, we can add in some stems or some sticks where everything is springing from. So it'll look a little bit different than this shape over here. Let's go ahead and do the same type of thing on this side, connecting, and see now I didn't flip my brush. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's a lot easier not to, I'll be honest. Like this move right here feels so awkward, but that's why I need to practice it so that I can get better at it. Practice makes improvement, as I like to say. Guys, if you haven't picked up my free ebook, it is listed in the description, and it is how to let go of perfectionism in your art. So I highly recommend it. It's from the perspective of self-care and watercolor painting and art in general. It's not just for watercolorists, but I think anyone involved in art could benefit from that. And you can pick it up, linked in the description. Yay! All right, so we're gonna do another one over here. So when you are doing your composition, it can be tricky to know what to put where. I always start with the large blooms. Where do I want to put those? And then start adding in my other filler moments. So we have our filler florals we're doing, and then we'll add our greenery and just put everything quite together. So this is a bit of a longer video than some that I've been doing recently, but it's got a lot of things involved in it, so it's going to take some time to go through. Always feel free to skip through or maybe come back later if it makes sense and, you know, continue at another time. You don't have to watch everything and do everything all at once. You can take your time. Okay, so we've got kind of that, you know, zigzag thing here. So now that we've put that in, what I want to do is start adding in a bit more filler. And I'll show you guys, for those of you who are kind of new here, this is the idea, the composition we're going for. I want to put in some stems, and I'm still using that number 6 round. I'm liking it. I'm gonna do a stem like right here, just kind of hanging out. One here, and we'll put in some greenery in between too, as we see fit, okay? All right, so I'll start with the sap green. You can see that is my most used color, my favorite. And we'll start with our biggest leaves first. So I'm gonna put in some big leaves over here. So I'm just going to start with a C-curve shape. It's kind of a C-curve shape, I guess. This one will be more C-curvy. And a little bit of space in the middle. Then I'm going to take off some of the water. Let's do another one right here. I like to add in my leaves first and then put in my stems. And that way, I just feel like the way the composition turns out, you know, I'd rather put the leaves where I want them to go, and we're gonna do some right here, and then add in my stems on top of that. Otherwise, if I put my stems first, then, you know, it takes a lot more space to put in my leaves, and I feel like sometimes they're not positioned exactly how I want them. So that's just what I've been doing. One more over here, coming off the page. That's okay. All right, we'll connect those soon. And then of course, last bunch. So we've got here, here, and then we'll do some right down here. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're thinking about ways in which you can be more present with your family, with the activities that you love, and just leave the stressors behind, leave work behind for just even a few moments, and find a thing that really makes you happy. And it needs to be an activity that is healthy and healing for you, that when you step away from it, you feel rejuvenated, you know, and energized for the rest of your week, the rest of your day. So just connecting those stems here. My neighbor is cutting some things with a saw, so that is just part of, you know, when you're being present, you're hearing all the things, and that's okay. He has work to do, I have work to do, and we're just all sharing the experience together today. So all right, we've got our larger leaves in. So our composition is starting to flow together. Now I want to add in a type of eucalyptus. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to take some of this green, and I'm going to just see what happens if I put in a little bit of that turquoise color. That's pretty. And it's already that lovely shade of blue-green. Look at how pretty that is. So I'm just mixing that up. And I'm going to keep it that intense. I was going to add some red, which would desaturate it and make it a little bit more dull, but you know, we're going bright today, so why not? So we will start with a little bit of extra water in there. If you want it lighter, do extra water. We're going to do eucalyptus about right here, and then we'll try to add in some right here, and then we'll try to add in some right here. Okay, so just some kind of odd circles like that. Take off some paint, another one right here, a little bit lighter, and then one here, little tiny one. Let's try that again. So this space is a little bit smaller. That's okay though, we can do our best. And we'll add in right here, and then take off some more paint. How are you feeling today? I hope that this video is helpful. I mean, it's alive, but it'll be a video eventually. We will have the replay up. And I hope that you share with me in comments if there's any questions that you have or anything that you are learning. Let me know what was your favorite part. So I've got one there, there, and then we'll just do some right here, actually. I always say I cannot talk about art without talking about mental health, because that is just, it's part of my life. It's what I do. It's what I believe in. Self-care is so important. And we should give ourselves the permission to take care of ourselves so we can take care of all the other stuff in our life. I mean, it's what we have to do, and it's what helps to heal us and keep us strong. Okay, adding in a little bit of a wonky stem. Some of these angles with which you're painting are going to feel really awkward, and that's okay. This is all about practice. You know, we are letting go of what we think perfect is or what we expect it to be. And we're gonna just try to enjoy the experiences that we're having. Hopefully, this guy is just kind of angled a little funny there, but that's okay. There we are. Okay, so we have those in. I want to add in, I think I'm gonna add in for these little bits here, some more eucalyptus eventually. What I do want to do is add in some really small florals next. And I'm going to take some of my, well, let's see. I'm not going to take my Payne's Gray. I'll take some of the brown. We're going to add that to my green just to darken it up a bit. A little bit of a darker green. And we're going to, again, use the belly of the brush to create some beautiful leaves for us, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Now, what I want to do is just basically touch down on the paper like that to make my leaf shape. And then we're just going to start working our way up towards the tip right there. And I made it lighter by dipping it in water. We can even do a couple on this side here. And then we will add in just a little bit, boop. We'll add in our stems later. So we've got a little bunch here. And then we're going to, let's see, add in one here and then maybe right there, I think will be good. And then something right here down here. So same thing. Oops, go this way. No, that's the right way. Using the belly of the brush to create those lines for you, to create those marks, just like so. Adding a little bit more. And then I'm even gonna put a few more here. It's just effortless. If you can use the shape of the brush that you already have, it really does make things feel manageable, easier, maybe even more fun sometimes, okay? All right, so we've got those there. Taking our trusty number 2 brush. I've got all kinds of color on this at this point. And kind of hovering because things are still wet, so you don't want to set your palm down unless you want to get it in the paint, which is not fun. We're just going to create these little lines that are connecting everything. You can even hover like this, and that can feel a little bit scary. Right here, I can put my palm down so that feels comfortable. And just connecting everything together. Thin little stems. So a lot of times I'll hear people say that their leaves are just not looking realistic. And I went through that phase as well. For me, what it was the type of brush. I didn't have a brush that was thin enough. And once I switched brushes, then I started to use a thinner brush. Let's go grab some brown. We're going to do these. Once I started to do that, everything came together a lot easier. I was able to create, with the thinner brush, you get those thinner stems, which sometimes just feel a little bit more realistic or look a little bit more realistic. So you need a nice pointy brush. It really helps bring things together. Okay, so now we've got, you know, our little yellow florals here that we're just going to start connecting with some stems. So I am going to angle just a little bit, and this is dry, so I can put my palm down. Anytime that you can put your palm down, it's great. You know, it just makes your life a little bit easier. Add a little bit more water to that. And I'm going to start with a main stem here going up to the top. And then I like to start a little bit below where the floral is, and then arc a little bit of a stem over there to connect everything together. You can work quickly, you can work slowly. It's really up to you and what you want to do. Okay? That rhymed. That was not on purpose. But anyway, sometimes that works out. All right. Thanks for the likes, guys. If you haven't liked the video yet, but you are enjoying it, please hit the like button, subscribe, and all the things, guys. I'm also letting you know that I do teach watercolor on Patreon, which is a platform for bonus content, and we do live stream. We just did one yesterday, actually, and I always put up the replay. So that is available if you join the live stream tier. We also have art prints, and I even have a monthly flower drawing sheet for some of the tiers, so you can check it out. You can join at the $3 level at this point for free for 7 days, just to check out Patreon in general. So anywho, here we go. Just drawing up that line and connecting everything together. Such an awkward way that I was holding that. I think I'm going to do some hovering. Hovering can be easier. And sometimes you might see that you want to add in, you know, a few more details later. And, you know, like maybe more little yellow blooms or something, or tiny little leaves around it. And feel free to do that at any time if that makes sense for you. All right, so this is the point where we kind of step back, so to speak, and we say, okay, how is my composition looking? I'm liking the placement of all this foliage out here. I do want to add in some more foliage right inside where I'm seeing a lot of white space, because for me personally, I like a tight bouquet. So I'm going to add a lot of water to my turquoise mix here, and I'm just going to put in a few here. It's a nice little blue color. And we can put stems later too. You can even just do like little brush marks. Doesn't have to be anything super recognizable, but we're just trying to fill in some of those spaces as we would have with a bouquet. Foliage, flowers, leaves just springing everywhere. Okay, and then we'll add some more here as well. So you can always continue to add in if you feel like it's necessary, if you feel like it needs it. There we go. And you know, one thing I love about creating beautiful florals is that it just, I'm gonna go sit down here and I'm gonna do some thinner marks here, but in that same color. Just, you know, especially when, excuse me, when you use a lot of bright colors, at least for me, just cheers me up. I've always loved lots of bright color. On the live yesterday, I was saying that I used to have what I would kind of call a rainbow house. I just had all the colors that you can imagine, different color in each room, and just made me happy. So right now, I am just now doing those fine details of adding little bits of foliage here and there where I think I want to fill in a little bit of space. And sometimes it helps just to, you know, take a little breather, step back, or even take a picture. I've done that before. Take a picture of your composition and you look at it with fresh eyes in a different way. Sometimes when you see it through the lens of your camera, you just start to see different things that you want to change or you want to add, you know. So, all right, time to connect those bits. And guys, we are so close to being done. I really love that you are here watching me paint, or maybe even painting with me. Let me know in comments if you're going to try this one or if you painted along with me. I always love hearing about that. I will be having, if all goes well, my plan is to have another live on Friday, which I'm trying to do a scheduled live on Fridays when I can. So, and it'll be probably something with fall. We shall see. To be determined. But today I'm just doing this one here because I didn't get to last week because of the sickness in the household. And sometimes, you know, life happens and you just have to change things, and that's how it goes. But I hope everyone is doing well and people are healthy and happy and surviving whatever it is that you are dealing with personally. We all go through so much, and that's why I encourage self-care, just to help you practice taking care of yourself, especially if you've had a lot of stressors in your life or stressors in the week or in the day. We want to make our middles fancy, so we are going to do a little bit of these dots here. And you can even darken up your center if you'd like. I just like to make these random, kind of at varying heights, so it doesn't look too matchy-matchy, you know? At this point too, because the petals are dry, you know, you can go ahead and fill in, make them longer if you feel like there's too much white space, and it's a good time for that. This is one of my favorite ways to do centers, I'm just saying. So fun. So much fun. So I hope that everyone can find a way to practice being present in this next week. Find ways to, you know, encourage that in the people, in the lives of the people that you love. Taking this really tiny brush. I'm going to take this brush, yeah, and I'm just going to do a little bit more of those marks here and there. Just to add a little bit more. There's always something. I feel like there's always something that we can add in. Always something. If we keep going, though, sometimes it becomes too intense, too many details. But when you have a large paper like this, 9 by 12, it can be challenging not to, you know, spend a lot of time painting. And it's okay if you have the time. If that is your solace, it's your comfort to spend a lot of time, it's great. If it stresses you out, just set a timer for 5 minutes and say, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to paint a quick painting for 5 minutes, or maybe you're going to just paint 5 minutes of a painting. That might be a lot longer. Just sit down for a few minutes and, you know, practice and see how it goes. And I guarantee at some point when you do have time, you'll probably sit there for a lot more than 5 minutes. But sometimes it's just hard to get started. And that can be the thing that pushes you to, if that's what you want, because pushing can be good and it can be frustrating, but it pushes you if you want to grow in your practice every day. All right, guys, last little step, a lot of watery paint here on my brush. And we're gonna do a little splatter. Just makes the painting overall a bit more magical. I really hope that you enjoyed painting with me. Again, give this video a like, hit subscribe as well, and check out my other social media. I've got a lot of lists in the description of this video of fun things you can check out on my channels, all the things, guys. So this is our composition for today. Let's just get a little bit of a close-up on that. So it is a little bit different than our original here. There's the original, and the flower is a little bit bigger, and it's a bit more of a square composition. And then this one here, it's a little bit more of a spread out composition. So I hope you guys enjoyed painting with me today. I really enjoyed being here. Sorry for the weird camera angle and holding it. I just want to say hi to you guys again. I hope and pray that you are doing well. And if you're not, find some ways to take care of yourself today, and find ways to be present and to learn and to grow. Happy painting and happy mental health to you. And I will see you guys soon. Take care.